Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Solano County Taxpayer Association, I thank you for attending tonight and hope you find the evening very informative. Let us open the meeting with a pledge to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. The deficiency of an established democracy is that many citizens fail to participate in their responsibility to be responsible to be informed so they can elect the best qualified individuals. Your attendance tonight is evidence that you are meeting your responsibility. Thank you. Before I forget it, anybody that has cell phones, please remember to turn them off before we disrupt the harmonics in the building. Our candidates are not strangers to you, or to many of you, but let me introduce them anyway. John Vasquez on your left, on our left, is the President Supervisor for District 4 and lives in Vacaville. His challenger is Don Pippo, who lives in English Hills, just north of our fair city, and has previously served as a county supervisor from 1983 to 1991. The Taxpayers Association members who volunteered to plan this forum, I would like to introduce, they're not all here, but John Taguchi, stand up please, David Thacker, and Jim Williams, Alan Smith, Don Fulton, and the absentee members in Montana, Kurt Hahn. The committee which will receive your written questions for the candidates are Glenn Faison, over on the right side, Managing Editor of the Daily Republic, Karen Nolan, Opinion Page Editor of the Reporter, and Don Fulton, retired Air Force pilot and member of the Taxpayer Association. If anyone in the audience has a question for the candidates and did not receive a question card at this time, please raise your hand now and we will pass a card. We have a couple gentlemen ready to pass cards out, please. The question cards will be collected shortly after the candidates complete their opening remarks. The person who will run the show tonight as your moderator is Andy Anderson. Andy represents the Travis Credit Union, to whom we are all indebted. The credit union provides these facilities to the community at no expense, and we're grateful for the opportunity. Andy, you got it.
Thank you, Earl. A few things we need to do before we get started. We'd like to ask that during the opening statements, the closing statements, and the question period, we not applaud. We'll applaud when we close, okay? And if you have any remarks, we'd like for you to hold those. To determine the sequence for tonight's events, we're going to flip a coin. And the person who gets gets heads will start first, and the person who gets tails will follow that person, but the person who gets tails will open the closing statement, okay? So I have a coin here, and we're going to flip it, and you, what are you calling, John?
Heads. Tails.
You got me on that one. And the coin is... The coin is heads.
Does that mean I start?
That means you start. I think.
Thank you, Andy. Well, first of all, thank you all for being here tonight. Again, my name is John Vasquez. I was born and raised here in Solano County. I'm 59 years old. I've been a public servant for 30 years. And for 30 years, I've filed the 700 form. So you know what I have and what I don't have. And that's 30 years of unbroken service to my community. I was a member of the Vacaville City Council, the Vacaville Elmira Cemetery, an aide to Supervisor Carroll, and for the last 8 years, your supervisor. I've been at the job, and I treat the job as full-time. I've been available 7 days a week. I've worked at many jobs, as a farmhand for my father, as a retail clerk here in Solano County, as a laborer on the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, and I've also served in the California and Alaska National Guard. But for the last 35 years, I've been a partner in Vasquez Deli, where I've had the honor and the pleasure to work again with my mother and father. and at one time with all three of my brothers. For today, my brother George and I remain as partners. So I know firsthand the impacts of government regulation, fees, permits, licenses, and taxes. As a tax collector for the state of California, last year our business collected over $55,000 in sales tax, paid over nearly $12,000 in employer payroll taxes, our share of it, over $6,000 of workman's comp, and nearly $1,000 a year for the health permit to the county, $400 for a license in the city of Vacaville, and over $18,000 in property tax for the building and our property. I tell you all this because I bring all of these experiences and knowledge and skill sets to the job every day as your supervisor. And that's why, despite the criticism of some and the rhetoric of others, as you weed through, you will see that Solano County is one of the best run counties in the state. And that comes from strong leadership. From the 5 other countywide electeds, the sheriff, the DA, the auditor controller, tax collector, treasurer, and the assessor. And from the Board of Supervisors, at least the majority of us, who have been willing to make the tough choices during these difficult times. To a strong county team of department heads and executive management. The very issues that concern our citizens today are issues that we've been working on for years: right-sizing government and containing costs. We've been working to improve the economy, creating jobs locally, ensuring public safety has the tools to do their job, working to improve education, and where we can, working together to reduce crime and violence countywide. Preserving agriculture, protecting agriculture, but providing opportunities for ag to prosper. And that's why I want to continue to serve as your supervisor. I want to continue to do the good work we've been doing during these difficult times. Thank you.
I made a mistake there, and I'd like to say that our timekeeper tonight will be Miss Bernice Kalin, and what she will do is she will time you. You get 5 minutes for your opening comments. 10 seconds before the 5 minutes are up, the yellow light will go on, and when you hit the 5 minutes, the red light will go on. During the question period, you'll have 2 minutes for each question, and the light will go on 15 seconds prior to the 2 minutes. Then when we do the closing comments, you'll have 3 minutes to do your closing comments. The yellow light will come on 10 seconds prior to the 3-minute warning. And we're going to work this where we alternate the questions, and while they are making their opening comments, if you want questions, write those questions out. They'll be screened by the selection committee. If they meet the criteria, we'll ask those after they finish their questions that have been prepared tonight, which I just saw these. I've seen these questions, and no one else is supposed to have seen them but myself and Earl, so we'll get to those. Now let's let Mr. Pippo do his opening remarks.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Solano County Taxpayers Association for providing this venue for us. I would also like to take a moment and thank Becky Benton and Lisa Mullis, the 2 ladies that ran in the primary, for investing the kind of money that they had to invest to run in the primary. I am also pleased to announce that both Becky Benton, who's here tonight, and Lisa Mullis have given me their unconditional endorsement. They are working for me. They believe in the same changes I believe in, and I think together we can prevail. I'd also like to thank Mr. Donald Tipton from Homemakers in Vallejo and George Gwynn, who's here tonight, for their diligent, constant efforts of attending every Board of Supervisors meeting and for being Solano County's own private, unpaid watchdogs. I was on the Board of Supervisors for 8 years, from 1983 to 1991. I'm aware of what the job entails. I made myself available to my constituents and never missed a board meeting in the 8 years that I served. I would propose bringing back 1 nighttime meeting per month. They only meet 3 Tuesdays out of the month, so the 4th Tuesday we should meet, and we should allow people at night to attend the meetings who have to commute or can't get off work to voice their opinions. So controversial issues then could be heard, as they were when I was on the board, at nighttime once a month. In politics, there's an old saying, you can get along by going along. That's not for me. Only dead fish go with the flow. I believe in standing up and speaking out for our rights, even if it means standing alone. Some people call me a maverick. That's okay. I'm a rancher, and I know about mavericks. A supervisor is not an administrator. He or she is a legislator, the part of government which sets county policy. Your supervisor is your primary voice in county government. My goal as supervisor would be to reduce salaries and benefits for upper management and department heads, and to consolidate some county departments to run more efficiently. Keeping in mind that when I was supervisor last time, we merged 6 departments into 3, saving 3 department head salaries. I'm well aware that the problems the public faces when dealing with the various county offices. I've been meeting with the tax assessor's office since April in order to have a parcel reassessed. As of this date, more than 5 months after I filed my appeal, nothing has been established. But I did receive a phone call this afternoon at 2:50 p.m. from an appraiser who said they've reached an agreement, and if I would make it into the office by 3 o'clock tomorrow, which is the deadline, that we could come to agreement on a very fair settlement. You know, I'm cognizant of the fact that their staff has been cut and they have a work overload. I'm very appreciative for their ability to sort through facts and come to a conclusion that they have come to. And I can tell you it's a significant reduction. I ran for office because the public is outraged by the government spending and outrageous salaries and benefits of our department heads and our management people. The taxpayers should be aware of what their officials are receiving, not only salaries, but also the perks, the benefits, the retirement packages, the longevity pay, since you, the taxpayers, are paying for it. Solano County does not want to end up on the front pages of the national newspapers like the city of Bell. We're well on the way of doing that. How many of you are aware that in the past year, while the county was laying off staff workers up to 200, or maybe more than 200 if you could get the true figure, that the county administrator requested and received a brand new Lincoln Navigator, a $50,000 plus vehicle with a gas card that he can use for his own personal use. Accountability? I don't believe so. This nonsense has to stop, and it has to stop now. My goal is to rein in spending and get the county finances back into the black. I would also propose the firing of the county administrator because of what he's done to the morale of the county employees. Pay the severance pay if necessary and be done with him. On March 23rd, 2010, the Board of Supervisors terminated the management incentive plan, the bonus plan. At the same hearing, they put in a new 5-step salary increase in which some department head salaries were increased as much as $18,000. For instance, the sheriff. That will take place in December 31st. I am firm in my belief that the Solano 360 program should not be pursued any further. That's the remodeling of the fairgrounds. We have invested $5 million in consultants to come up with a plan that will eventually cost you, the taxpayers, $35 million and a developer $124 million.